Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another session of Speak Your Mind. So tonight I'm hoping that we can continue from where we left off last week. Many of you throughout the week was asking me what happened to me last week. I was here, I finished late, started late, finished late, and many of you changed the channel. So tonight there's no excuse. You don't have to change the channel. There's nowhere else to change the channel to anyway. No other show is more important than watching Speak Your Mind tonight, because this is a local channel. It's one of the few channels that allows you to express yourself without fear. Of course, we know that Speak Your Mind is in the community. We're a community-oriented show. So we want everybody to feel welcome. We want everybody to express themselves no matter what, whether we agree with you or not. It is your opinion. It is what's happening in your life, so we can't shape that. So don't feel as if anybody here is on this show is too strong-minded. We're just challenging sometimes the position and the opinions, but just like you would challenging us. So feel free to call whoever you need to call. Let them know that the Speak Your Mind show is on. We want to hear from each and every one of you. We want everyone to tune in tonight. I think tonight we're going to have a very interesting show. We want to continue from where we left off last week. Last week we had a very good show. We started out with the Rotary Club of Rotown, I believe, who is a Rotary throughout the British Virgin Islands, who is hosting an exchange program next year. And they were inviting young, business-minded entrepreneurs between the age, I believe, of 18 and 25 or 18 and 30 to submit application, and hope that you can be one of the few who's chosen to go up to Texas, Galveston, Texas, as part of this exchange program. And it's a wonderful program. It's a really good idea. It gives a lot of our young people opportunity to see what's happening outside of Tortola and broaden their perspective. So many of you who travel understand that you may not have the educational background, but if you can get that common sense background, and I think it'll make you a much smarter and wiser person. So if you have some young people that are interested, please have them contact Rotary and hope that they can be a part of that program. So again, I hope that we can continue from where we left off. Last week we had stimulating conversation. We talked about a number of things that, of course, people are still concerned about. And just this week, some of those things came up in the paper. So, of course, all I'm going to do is just put the teasers out there. I want to hear from you. My teasers is something that I basically just bring because I believe that if it's in the news, it's worth talking about. And if others are talking about it, you and I could talk about it. And I'm sure that you probably have the conversation sometimes by yourself, through your friends and your family. And sometimes you might want to express it so everybody else knows what you're thinking. This is one of the few channels where you can call and say what needs to be said, and the politicians are listening. We know they're listening. So if you feel like, they're not listening to you, or you're afraid to approach them, I don't want to approach them on the street, but you want to be able to express yourself, whether you're using the text. I do have a number of texts tonight already. Or you want to call, feel free to call and let them know. Of course, because we're in a democracy, it's one of the best ways to get your voice out there, to let the politician know how you feel. Oftentimes, whenever election is going on, the politicians, they usually come to us. They tell us exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But one thing we don't do is we don't tell them or hold them accountable for what they say. We don't hold them accountable. So this is one of the avenues you can do that. So immediately, folks, I'm not holding anything back to allow more people to be able to call in and express themselves. I'm going to open up the phone lines early tonight. So the phone lines are open. You don't have to hesitate. You don't have to wait. The phone number is on the screen. Whatever's on your mind, call us and let us know. But the phone lines are open. So while I wait for you to call, I'm just going to touch a few of the things that I believe that people want to talk about, that's in the news. Just this past week on NDP Radio on Monday, this past week, the whole conversation about pari-mutuel betting came up. There's a lot of people out there that are betting, like to bet or would like to bet when they go to the horse track, but it's not legal. And many people are now calling for that. Even the host of the program that night, Ms. Parson herself, was posing that question and saying that, the headline said, I'm not sure that she said it, but the headline said it's time to look at pari-mutuel betting. Public will have a say, and apparently government will hopefully have some public meeting where you and I could go to those meetings and we can express ourselves. But the question was posed to the Premier. And the Premier said that, it's something worthwhile looking at. It's worthwhile having a conversation about. And I believe the minister who's responsible, Mr. Waldron, stated that, the conversation has come up several times, and they're aware of that, and they want to be guided by the public in terms of how that is dealt with, because we are a religious society. That comment alone also had some questions behind it. Many people are asking, are we really a religious society? Are we that religious that, we see a lot of other things happening in the territory, but for us to do something like this, where it's controlled, managed, and organized through a system, does it make us less religious? What do you think about that? That's the question. What do you think by having pari-mutuel betting? And for those of you who may not understand what it is, I had to research it myself. Pari-mutuel betting is simply just saying legalize gambling on the racetrack, organize it so that government can make something out of it. A pool of people can bet on the horse, and the money's divided and shared among those who win, who might win the race or the bet. So if you want to go down to the racetrack and bet, hopefully if they do approve it, you will be able to do that. Also, another thing that government has to look at, we don't have a whole lot of other avenues now to generate more and more revenue, and this may be another option. And I think that's something that the government is going to start looking at, or what they already started looking at from what I read in this article, that the possibilities of generating more revenue, bringing more interest to the island. Of course, you don't have enough horses here. There's so many fighting going on right now with the whole horse association and the different owners of horses, that people are pulling out their horses. Races are being canceled, and again with the guys coming over from St. Thomas, there have to be a real reason. The love that we used to have for one another back in the days where guys used to just get up and go and assist and help and be a part of something, those days are done. Everybody wants to be paid now. So if you can't bet, there's no real money on the racetrack. Sometimes it costs these guys the same money of a race to bring their horses, bring their team, bring their crew, and house their horses here for a day or two. Sometimes it costs so much more that they don't even want to be bothered. So the question again is, what do you think about legalized gambling? Is the BVI that much of a Christian society that legalized gambling is gonna move us from being a Christian society? And it's straightforward. Two questions in one. Tell me how you feel about that. I just want to know what you're thinking about legalized gambling. That came up again Monday night on NDP Radio. The question was posed by Ms. Parson. She's the person that hosts the show. I think she does a wonderful job. She puts the questions out there. She moves the questions around to each person who's always present, and you get to know what's happening, on the radio show. So I think she's doing a great job whenever she's on the show. Another headline. I think this one is a bit controversial. a few weeks ago in the House of Assembly. Of course, many people were talking about the behavior in the House of Assembly. We posed this question here, I think it was last week and the week before. How do you feel about the behavior in the House of Assembly? Many people seem to hold the BVI on this high standard that, a debate can't be testy. It can't be back and forth. There's rules, of course, in the House that each and every member must follow. So one of those rules is respect for one another. Answer questions and be able to put questions out there that are not inciting, agitation and irritation. Those are, I think those are good rules. So how do you feel about the House of Assembly, the behavior? And I want you to bear in mind, I was looking at a tape recently of Australia, their house. I looked at, sometimes you look at BBC and you see the house in England, and you ask yourself, what example are they setting with the way they behave? And if anybody had a chance to look at them, you tell me if they're any better off. I mean, just in Australia, the new prime minister is a woman. And, when you look at their house, their debate, sometimes the legislatures, the politicians are distracted because there's so much arguing back and forth and so much disrespect towards the prime minister because she's a woman by the opposition leader. And they do this on their national TV. So sometimes when I hear people talk about, it's like a zoo, yeah, I think it is kind of a zoo-ish up there sometimes in the House of Assembly. But the question again, are we worse off? Are we in such a bad state versus other places, bigger places? Again, I use Australia as an example, and even in England. Sometimes when you look at those guys in England, the way they go back and forth, one is speaking and then the other one would get up full speed and interrupt him, and then the other people in the background would be shouting a whole bunch of comments and inciting bad behavior, and then you would hear the person, the Speaker of the House, knocking her, what do you call that thing? Please let me know. I can't remember the name of the thing. And the person saying, order, 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 trying to get people in order. That to me is a real zoo. And if we're telling all politicians that they can't have a contestant, a testy debate, something's wrong. But I do think they need to have a debate, because sometimes you look at what's happening in the House, it's just a long speech. It's long conversation with oneself. A debate to me you should have things in front of you, and you debate whether it's good or bad, and what's good about it, what's bad about it. You're supposed to be able to contest those things if you're on the opposite side, if you're supposed to support it if you're on the supporting side, and it's supposed to be to me a debate, and that's what a debate means. Being able to go back and forth, giving up your opinion on your point of view. So on the topic. So two good headlines. I want to know how you guys feel about those things. How do you feel about betting? Pari-mutuel betting is what they call it here in the BVI. They call it pari-mutuel betting all over the world too, and mostly in the French places. I think the word derived from the French. So how do you feel about that? What do you feel about betting overall on anything in the BVI, any kind of sport? I mean, a lot of guys watch horse racing on the TV. It's showing different tracks from around America and from around different parts of the world. And what if we could, in New York they have the OTBs, the off-track betting places, little shops, little businesses that are open up, and you can go into these shops if you're really big into horse race, and you can put down a $2, $3 on a horse race and make some money or lose some money, one or the other. But again, it's also another form of generating money. So how do you feel about that? And also, again, how do you feel about the House of Assembly? Are we so bad off that questions and answers that should be? I personally think that any legislator, whether he's for the government or on the opposition side, if questions are coming to you and you have the questions in advance, these guys get these questions in advance, and I want people to fully understand that they get questions in advance. How do we know that? How do I know that? Sometimes you see a week before, a few days before the House of Assembly, you read the newspaper and you hear about questions that's going to be posed to whoever. They already got them. It's part of the agenda. So Therefore, every minister should come prepared. Prepared with an answer, regardless of where the answer come, how the answer going to drop. If the answer may not be in the best interest of the person who asked him the question, it doesn't matter. It's his answer. It's your answer. Give it to him. You know what I mean? You know, so I think that when they come to the house, they should come prepared to answer. And then at the same time, you know, you should ask questions that make sense. Ask questions that are, you know, interest to the public. People don't want to hear, you know, sometimes when you watch the House of Assembly, politicians, I got to tell you, it is boring. I am sorry. And I'm sure a lot of people out there will agree with me. It is boring because it is long, it's drawn out, you don't get to the point. You know, when you do get to the point, it's at the end of a whole hour and a half speech. Nobody want to hear no speech. If it's a debate, put it out there. Ask the questions that, the general public listening could say, that's a good question because I had the same question and I wanted to know exactly what the hell they're talking about. So I think it's important that, you know, your questions make sense and the answers should be straight to the point. You know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, again, the phone lines are open. I want to hear from you tonight. I got 5 texts came in already. I've already written down 5. I'm not going to read these texts right now until I'm finished putting out these headlines. But the phone lines are open. There's no other show on TV right now to watch other than Speak Your Mind. Speak Your Mind is allowing you to express yourself. Call and express yourself. Also, we do appreciate the text because that's another form of expression. I understand the whole notion behind texting. I understand what people are saying when they talked about victimization or being feel as if they're being kept back or hold down because, you know, they may speak on certain things. I know what it's like. I hear talk every week about people saying this and saying that about other people, and I know what you mean. I know how you're feeling. But, you know, again, we are an emerging society. This society is going to start challenging a lot of the establishment. So somebody going to have to break it. We have a constitution that gives us freedom of expression. How can you live in a society and how can we be talking things about independence if we can't start expressing ourselves as a people to our politicians or to our policymakers or to our bosses? If we don't have the right to say what we feel to be truth, or, you know, sometimes tell people sometimes when you feel like you're being victimized, how can we move forward as a mature society if you can't even do those things? So there's absolutely no reason for us not to be able to express ourselves. Call and express yourself. The only thing people going to say is, you know what, that person made a lot of sense. You know, let me call on that topic too. I like that. And you could call and it doesn't have to be controversial. You can call and tell us whatever is happening in the neighborhood. So, another headline I wanted to touch on. Of course, the protocol is in the news again. The whole thing about the protocol, financial management, monitoring the way we do business now on the BVI. You know, somebody said there was a community meeting over in Cane Garden Bay a few weeks ago, and you know, there was a really hardcore statement made by a gentleman by the name of Glenroy Forbes. And, you know, he said that, you know, if we're not careful, there's maybe 1 or 2 things in the protocol that calls for us to do no matter what. And if we don't do it, it may cause England to suspend our constitution and basically, you know, do what they did to other territories, take back the BVI until they feel it's satisfactory, and then hopefully we can have a BVI back. But I think that was very important. You know, on top of that, of course, we have the minister, the new minister now for the overseas territory, Mr. Mark Simmons. He's on his way down. He's coming to visit the BVI. I think he's been here before. You know, I think this is the first time he's going to be here in the official capacity of overseas minister. And from what I was reading, he said he was very enthused. He was happy to be able to come. The BVI being one of his first official trip to the overseas territory. He's excited about the BVI. He's going to make several trips around the territory, including Virgin Gorda. He's going to be talking to business leaders and other people up there about tourism tourism, and his tourism in the news again. It's so important that even the minister, even the news coverage of the minister's visit made notice of that. They mentioned that, you know, that's one of the things he's going to be doing. My whole question is this, when it relates to the protocol. I want to know if you, the general public, are you paying any attention to the financial protocol? You know, the everyday men. You know, sometimes we think that, you know, that money is just sitting around and that we should just, the government should just do whatever. I mean, that came up in the House as well. That's part of what we're going to talk about tonight, hopefully. You know, the minister for the 3rd District made some comments about, you know, the financial protocol, about, you know, the government here should spend some money. You know, I agree with the minister. I agree with that. Money needs to be spent. If there's no money from outside, money from inside has to be spent to continue to stimulate the economy. I supported that process, that idea, that thinking 4 years ago. Despite the fact that we might have, you know, a slowdown in our economy right now, if you continue so much austerity measures, if you cut back on everything that's needed to generate interest and movement of people and spending power of people, your economy is going to stall, and you don't want that. You know, again, I keep saying that we don't want the government to be, you know, our only supplier. Let's get to the phone real quick. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, sir.
How are you? Good night.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Good topic so far. I just would like to make a quick little suggestion about the traffic. The traffic in our total is really getting out of control. As a matter of fact, I think it's already out of control. Basically, I'm speaking about like the rush hour, you know, like when you're getting ready to go to work in the morning time with the build up of traffic, you know, trying to get to your job on time, and, you know, this amount of traffic that, you know, you just can't get, you know, even though you leave home early, you still have, you know, end up with traffic. I just want to make a suggestion. I know some time ago we were talking about having these traffic guards, you know, trying to help us, you know, maintaining the traffic situation. And I'm referring definitely to, instead of the area coming over Fort Hill, Sam, like when you reach right there by that roundabout corner. My God, Sam, I'm telling you, coming from the east in the morning time, some morning ago we trying to come down, and my God, if I didn't wait about a good 15 minutes just so that, you know, we can just get to pass the roundabout to come down to go to work on time. Nobody doesn't want to give you a chance. You're pushing out your head, and some of the people are so uncourteous on the road. You know, I mean, I really wish that the government would look into putting these traffic guards even for 2 hours. 8 o'clock in the morning maybe until about 10 or 9:30, just to give the working public, you know, a chance to be able to get to work on time and help ease the traffic situation.
Definitely. I agree with you. They did have, you know, at some point, I remember a while back, they used to have the cops up there doing exactly what you're suggesting. I don't see why they stopped, because the traffic has gotten worse. And it's also coming out of West End as well.
Oh,
you know,
my God.
You get as far as to the government house, the government house, and then it slows down, it stops.
Definitely.
Yeah, no. So, but I also have some ideas on that as well, you know. I think, you know,
use the man always, you know, come out and, you show speak your mind, and we are speaking our mind.
Well, I appreciate that. I think
at the end of the day, this is our home. We live here.
Exactly.
We have to deal with this situation, 5 days a week.
Yeah. Question though, let me ask you a question. Do you think, I don't want you to let your business out like where you work or anything, but do you think there's enough people within your department or your government agency or your private business that where the boss could say, you know what, we got 20 people working here, why don't we help? Why don't we slot people? Instead of everybody coming to work at 9 o'clock, maybe some people could come to work for 8:30 or even 9:30, which will alleviate the amount of time that everybody all have to come to work at the same time, congesting traffic. What do you think about something like that?
Very good idea. As a matter of fact, it's so funny that you talk about that, because the establishment that I'm working at, we are thinking about something like that in the future, and it's not going to be long from now.
Yeah, and also I want you to support this idea as well.
I will.
You look at East End, you look at West End, and everything that was being concentrated in Road Town. One of the topics that I want to put out there is that same congestion, but you know, the austerity, the look of the tongue, the cleanliness of the tongue, and the fact that there's so much traffic in tongue is polluting the tongue on a daily basis. It's hard for those who are trying to manage it to keep up because you know it just the pace is too fast. What do you think about, you know, all business leaders, all people start thinking about developing businesses outside of tongue?
That's what I'm saying, Sam. You know, the thing is, you know, we are living here in the BVI, and you know, it's coming together and putting the best idea that is going to work for the people, not just a selective few, because at the ending of the day, it's all of us that are being affected with whatever decision. If it's a good decision, the people are going to be happy about it, and, you know, we're going to win. Yeah. But if it's a bad decision, you know, then we, the people, are the one that feels it.
Yeah, definitely.
Deal with the situation every day.
Definitely.
You know, so let's just keep the issues coming, man, because, I mean, you know, it's just a matter of just, you know, doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well,
okay, well thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay,
thanks
bye.
for the call.
You're welcome.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our first call tonight, it's about traffic, and that person has a valid, you know, that it's something that's definitely on the minds of people every day. You come into work, and it's a pain. There about that roundabout by Cuomo, you got 3-4 sets of traffic coming into that. You got a lot of people coming out of Puzzle that trying to make that roundabout to go downtown. You got people coming from up the hill, and you got people coming from East End. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we'll continue. Keep the calls coming. We'll take a break for about 5 or so minutes. So stay tuned.
Yo, you ain't checking for me no more, man. What going on?
Girl, you're right, man. Things rough right now and ain't getting no better. I gotta cut back how things so expensive.
Wait, you ain't hear Digicel giving away some serious credit? With Digicel, when you top up by $15, you will get $100 free credit. I mean, that's 100 anytime Digicel minutes, free chat all weekend long to your Digicel friends, and unlimited text to any network.
Wow! Now with Digicel, I can save and we can party some more.
Party Rock is in the house tonight.
Your credit lasts longer with Digicel. Now that's something worth partying about.
All right, so welcome back, guys. Again, call and let your friends know, let everybody know that the Speak Your Mind show is on. You know, again, this is one of the few shows that allows you to express yourself. You know, call us and tell us what's hampering the growth of this country. It's not all about politics, it's about common sense sometimes. I want to thank the caller that just called just now and talked about traffic. That's a huge issue with a lot of people in this country. Every day, going to work, you have to deal with traffic. And we put out some suggestions. Maybe employers could start looking at slotting times. Everybody shouldn't have to come to work at 9 o'clock, and everybody shouldn't go home at 4:30. Why not go home at 5:30? Some people come in at 8:30 and go home at 3:30. Those are other options that we could look at. Also, something that business developers and business owners, BVI landers who own land and got property and money to build buildings. Build some buildings in East End, develop East End. Build some in West End, develop West End. Stretch the business across the island so the money can be stimulated in different parts of the island. So before we go forward, Courtney's here with us. I just want to hit the text that we have real quick before we go any further. Courtney, we got about 4 texts. This one asks about betting. They said if pari-mutuel is legal, should they think that the government should open betting to all areas. On top of that, we had another text that called in and said about casinos should also be considered. We got a call. Let's go to the phone real quick. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sir.
Yes, my brother. Talk to me.
I think the government should look after trying to get piece of land down at Taxi, where the old garbage heap was, where Omaha House is.
Yeah, down in the back there.
Yeah, put up a second administration complex. Instead of spending a heap of stupid money all about it to be doing that. It's too much congested in Old Town. You got less than a square mile. You got 4 commercial banks, administration complex, courthouse, DVI high school. The courthouse. Man, you got too much business there.
Yeah.
So you can't get off the traffic.
Yeah.
Everybody got to come one place. Yeah, you need to spread out.
Yeah. Let me ask you how you think about the fact that DMV, you know, when that first came up, a lot of people are bugging out about that, but it seems to be working out really well. It actually stimulates some interest in the complex down there. We got a number of businesses down there now as well, and it's helping that community. How do you feel about that? That's a good example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, for instance, Malone complex.
Yes, exactly.
There in Pakistan, a lot of businesses down there.
And it's great.
You need to get out of Road Town.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, the traffic down there was because people put vehicles on the road. 10, 20 vehicles a month on the road.
Yeah.
They don't know us.
Yeah.
Things can't get better.
Well, I could say, I don't know if you know about this. I heard it through the grapevine. The school kids always know before the rest of us that one of the components of the master development plan for Road Town, I'm preempting some things here. So ladies and gentlemen, don't hold this against me. It's what I heard on the street, that the government might be contemplating some huge parking structures on the outside of town, maybe down by the hospital, maybe up by the festival ground, that would facilitate cars parking in that area, and then put parking meters and thing in town to force people to move out of the town. I think sometimes that sounds like a really good idea, because you know you got parking everywhere, and sometimes people are blocking the street, they're parking on sidewalks. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's gonna be good, but some people don't like to walk.
Yeah, boy.
I don't like to walk. Some of them want to drive a vehicle and move into the business.
Especially the Range Rover drivers. We have a lot of those, you know. And to my good friend who's watching, who owns a Range Rover company, I'm not knocking it. I think it's a brilliant car, but of course, you know, the Range Rover, the Mercedes drivers, the Lexus drivers, they don't want to walk. They work at the complex and they drive across the Palm Grove to pick up food.
Yeah, and when they're going to Puerto Rico, like Sam's and all them big places, they got to back up and walk.
Hey, you're half a mile.
Yeah, they got to back up and walk.
Yeah.
But Carla, you know, one of the things I thought about while you were talking is that if we had some more banking in some other locations, if we,
right.
You know, it don't have to be a full-fledged bank, but just a place where you could change a check, or where you could use an ATM machine. You know, a lot of people wouldn't leave West End just to, or East End to come to town. They would be able to do that type of business on a Saturday, you know, in the evening, some other time, other than just one location in Road Town where they could do this type of activity.
Yeah, George is one place, man.
Yeah.
It was bad planning for the first, because the cruise ship that wasn't supposed to be out there. It was supposed to, first they said it was to be over Barber, then like Barber G got a beach in that area over there, but then a point in town. And then one of them cruise ships got on, more people want to live in the whole of Road Town. So it's like a carnival. When them come in, you got 2 cruise ships in there. So we in trouble.
Yeah. It's hard.
Well, we definitely have to do something about it, because I had traffic down as one of the things on my list here today too, because I ride around town today, and on 3 occasions the road was blocked, right? And you laughing, but I didn't see any signs, I didn't see any, you know, any law enforcement people, nothing, just the road blocked. I think that's unfair to us people who use the roadway to work, you know, that you know, there should be some more, at least put a sign up saying the road closed. You know, work must go on, I agree. But we could be a little bit more courteous. What you say?
And then what the next issue is, if they build another administration complex down Coxita, apart from the traffic, you're going to save a lot of millions of dollars every year. With the government renting all these businesses, and a lot of $1 million the government spending on rent. And if they put their own building down there, another second administration complex, then it will cut down a lot of expense and you'll be paying for your own building.
It cut down expense for the people as well, too, because people can work down there.
You onto something, you onto something real powerful, you know. Let me tell you what it is. Any new projects that are going to come up now, they're going to have to bring them to the people. So when you bring the new project to the people, you're going to have to show all these things. Where is the money going to come from? What are the benefits going to be to us, the people, etc., etc., etc. So we will have a chance to make some input on these projects now.
Yeah, but then that building what I'm going to put up over there now, sir, you're spending $75 million in the cruise ship area.
No, you can't spend $75 million without coming to the people. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can't do that anymore, not with the agreement that we signed.
Another congestion over time again.
Not with the agreement that we signed. With the agreement we signed, you have to come to the people.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a chance to talk and speak your mind.
You're not waiting to see that.
Okay. Anyway, we have another call coming in. So thanks for your contribution, my brother. Put the call through, please.
Wow. Yeah, the traffic is a big
traffic is a big one, problem. And the potholes. We seem to be having a lot of potholes. So, good evening. You speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You guys are touching on a topic that I've always advocated, and that is more decentralized government. I believe some of the larger community, particularly East End, should be more self-sufficient. They should develop in a way that they don't have to totally depend on the government for their development. I believe there's enough people in East End, and we should develop our own tourist package. We should have a commercial strip somewhere up here in East End, and we should have the necessary stores that would keep us from running to Road Town.
Well, Carl, I agree with you. I don't know if you're aware, but at one point I was instrumental in talking about putting that broad walk out in front of the properties, all the way from Fat Ox Bay all the way to East End, and using the hub at Long Swamp, where Long Look and East End come together, and using that as a commercial district, where you would put all the commercial center in that area.
Well, exactly. That's making my point, because as far as I understand, that project been ongoing for X amount of years as a national project. We have a little movement when a certain government is out and then it stops when that government is out. These 10 people need to get together, look at what development they need that can move them forward as a community, and if not totally take care of themselves, they should at least be self-sufficient to a certain degree, so that they don't have to entirely depend on what the government does. Because at times government has so many large national projects that regardless of who it is, there's going to be very little money to do anything in any of these districts.
You're making a very good point, because I've been saying on this show more than one time that over the years now, the last couple of years, 4 or 5 years, the budget for doing capital projects has been about $25 million each year. There's no more than $25 million. After the government has paid the employees and paid the rent and paid the vehicles and the gas, and it's only $25 million left every year, and that's not a lot of money in the BVI for doing government projects, because as you know, government projects usually cost a little more than any other project.
Okay, so what do you think? Why are the people so afraid of self-sufficiency? I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, but I think one of the problems is that a lot of people don't really understand how the system works and how to get things done. And because of the lack of explanations, people explaining to people how the system works and how to get things done. I think that is probably the reason why more people are not more proactive in trying to get things done.
I think something the caller touched on, though, Courtney, that should be expanded on. He said something about we developing. There's a lot of business owners, there's a lot of land owners, businesses such as banks medical centers. A lot of people opening up a lot of businesses right now. And I think that Carlos trying to say that some of those businesses could start looking at areas such as East End and Long Look, West End. Expand your business, move it out. BNF just did that. They just put another clinic down in Parkwood Pond. It's a brilliant idea for the people down there. They don't have to now venture up to town. It's also good for a tourism product because you have tourists that have to rush into town to go to a clinic when they could go to a clinic right there in West End. If we could get the same idea and approach, we had it before, I believe, up in East End. We need it back. You know, you have the government clinic, but what about the private interest? There's a lot of people doing business, and everybody wants to be in Road Town. And it's causing the rent in Road Town to be so expensive. You know, if you could think about doing businesses outside of Road Town and it's successful, you're going to do well. And I think that's one of the things that Carla was talking about. Courtney, we had another text that speak about immigration. Somebody wanted to know if the immigration fees, I know that person is watching, went up. You know anything about the immigration fees going up, or only the fee for visa?
No, I don't know anything about the immigration fees increasing now. Yeah,
so basically, I haven't heard anything myself.
But we can inquire about it.
Yeah, we'll find out for you, Texas. No worries.
We can inquire.
Another text, Courtney. Somebody said we need a good cardiologist, a good heart doctor. I want to add to that. We need a good retina specialist, an eye specialist in this country as well. We have, you know, I think Pearl Vision does a good job. Dr. Vanderpool, that's his name, right? Vanderpool? O'Neill?
No, O'Neill.
O'Neill. Dr. O'Neill. I mean, I think he does a good job. He have another gentleman. He got a lady that come down from the States that do eye exam and so forth and do different type of surgery. But I think people who are having serious issues with their retina don't have any help here in the BVI. And I'm surprised that even in the help plan that we're talking about, bringing doctors in from different places to maybe bring them in to do the work here, that we haven't talked about eye care. And just this week I heard about another territory talking about that health care should be encompass of everything. Eye, nose, ears, you know, not just...
There's some insurance policies that don't pay for certain services.
Yeah, but it's wrong. They should cover
the total person.
Yeah.
Because I like to refer to you know, from an institutional point of view, where if you're involved in teaching and you take care of your mind and you ignore your body, at one point you would have a very good mind and not so good a body. You know, so you have to take care of the whole person.
Yeah, this is a good text here, Courtney. This person said one of the reasons they believe there's so much traffic in town is attributed to the high school, and I can't disagree with that person. You find a lot of
out there
Scotland School, you find two big schools in one area. It's causing a big problem.
Both schools by the road can be scarved away to make a long drop-off zone
for
vehicles to pull off and drop off. This is common sense that can be suggested. I mean,
well, even with the high school, somebody had said. I remember we were having a discussion that the back road, Courtney.
But this one is even simpler. This is even simpler. A pull off, just widen the road at the high school and at the Altair Catholic School on the government land.
Where would you widen it?
On the government land.
Inside by the high school.
On the government land, and that way, what you do is you be providing a drop-off area for the students.
I do think
in addition to the traffic continuing to go through. You know why I'm stressing it?
Yeah, but I think they need to move that drop off in front there by the courthouse. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a bottleneck.
Yeah, and I understand the bottleneck.
That's a bottleneck.
But you know why I'm stressing it? Because we're building a hospital and we're spending $100 million more spending building a hospital, and we haven't even begin to address the road situation in front of the hospital, where it will need a turning lane to go to the hospital.
I agree. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
I just sent a text a while ago about at the Scanlon High School.
I'm glad you called.
You see, like where Bobby's is there.
Yes.
Right. Well, that area there, I think they could have made the whole lane start from there, because they have enough space. They can cut the lane in and make so that the freeway traffic don't get interfered. So they have lane there. That's enough for 6 cars at one time to drop off.
Exactly.
And that means 6 to be out of the way, not back in the traffic while school children take the sweet time to get out of the car and all of that. The same with at the campus, they have a lot of land that they can afford to go in just one lane and make that whole lane be for the whole length of the school, just be a drop off.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, when the parents dropping off, the free flowing traffic go normal and just go by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, but
that was my ultimate suggestion.
Yeah, you know, something like that I think can work. And we have to look at it not only at the school areas, but as I was saying, at the hospital, where it's going to be much more difficult to turn at the hospital if you don't have a turning lane.
Yeah. Yeah, these things need to be factored into the plan. I mean, it's too late.
It's not too late. Now is the appropriate time.
Yeah, I believe so.
And now is the time to bring it to the people. And show people what we're doing.
It should be, yeah, because if you don't plan for these things, then it should have been how much damn fence.
Well, you know what? One of the people who I've tried to follow say if you don't plan, then you plan. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Yes, that's right. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, Courtney, you got a really good suggestion right there.
Yeah.
And he's right. There's a lot of land right there in front of where they used to have the bandstand and so forth that you could cut in. But you know, in addition to that, somebody's probably thinking, why not just build another high school out of town too as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even down there in Coxseat, instead of having everything congested into Road Town. So.
But since we were talking about traffic, I think we were just talking about some quick fixes that wouldn't really be too difficult to do in a short space of time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think they just need to look at all of these things. I mean, when they do planning, you know, I mean, who all is involved in planning and things like this?
The overall planning is the Town and Country Planning Department. We have a text that came and said, do trust companies have to operate in Road Town?
No.
Their clientele are spread across the globe, and they seldom visit the offices. Trust company and markets.
Rents make it hard to start up.
To start up businesses.
Yeah.
To merge them. Businesses to emerge, they can't compete. Yeah, well, that's true, but I think one of the key things with a trust company is getting to the registry, and they have a cutoff time for the registry. I think it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you have like 50 companies to register in one day, you know, you have to prepare the mems and ads and all that stuff, and you have to get them to the registry on time. So it could be a challenge, but then the registry is not in Road Town. The registry is in Pazia. So I think you know, basically the congestion is one of the problems, because once you get in the traffic, and you have to factor the length of time you're going to be in the traffic, in addition to, you know, the other things that you have to do.
Yeah. Well, Courtney, we're going to take a little break.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.